Okay, here we are, the Crave Show. Chris and JRuss, we're back for another episode, season 2. I'm stoked, man. This is awesome. How's it going, JRuss?
It's going pretty well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm doing good. We just won our. We just started. I coach my son's soccer team. I think I've told you that before. He's the keeper. And so this is like high school soccer. I'm the assistant coach, and we had our first district playoff game tonight, like right before I just got home, and so we won 4-0.
Oh,
It was
nice.
really awesome. It was
Shout
really
out.
fun. Yeah.
Um, have you ever seen the movie Old School?
Old school? Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
And he goes back to college or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
But
I think I've seen it.
uh isn't that the one at the end where the guy goes to his kid's soccer game and just gets ejected as the coach and like picks up a folding chair. You want to make it official and throws it onto the field. Hopefully you're not doing that.
No, but actually last week at our game last week, I actually got a yellow card.
Did you really?
As a coach, I got a yellow card.
Oh, let's hear it. What
Yeah.
happened?
I, we were just mouthing. We were mouthing at the ref. Of course, we thought he was making bad calls, and there was a couple plays, like back-to-back plays, where the other team had like fast breaks, like a through ball over the top, and their striker, like their guy that was up top, he was, I mean, not just barely offsides, like way offside. I'm talking like 5 feet, a long way offsides, and the linesman didn't do anything. I mean, they didn't score, but still, we were like yelling and screaming and throwing a fit, and I'm just mouthing at the ref, and then he comes over to the sideline and is, I think, being a turd. So, then he and I are both just being jerks back to one another. And of course, he has all the power and authority. So he just whips out his yellow card and basically tells me to shut up.
I'm struggling so much to see you yelling at anybody, but
Yeah.
man, maybe I'll have to come down there just to watch a game.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't like, once he came over, I'm not like yelling in his face. I wasn't doing that.
Sure.
There have been times when I've done that. I can be a real jerk. But no, by the time he came over, I was talking quietly, but I think he just, he was here. So one of the things he said, he's like, you guys need to quit talking. You need to quit saying stuff. Stop talking to my linesmen. Stop talking to me. I don't want to hear another word from y'all. Y'all been very disrespectful. And I'm going to, I don't think he said, I'm going to card you. I think he said, you're being very disrespectful and I don't want to hear another word. Don't say anything else to me. And I was like, I can talk to you if I want to talk. I can say stuff if I want. And then I was like, what did we say that was disrespectful? Tell me so I don't do it again. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's mouthing, I'm mouthing. We're both just going back and forth. And then finally he's like, nope, I've had enough. Here's your yellow card.
And with a red card, I mean, you're not in the game. Like, is he going to kick you off the property?
I mean, really, a yellow card for me as a coach doesn't do anything. A yellow. Now, if he later on decides to give me another yellow, then your second yellow is a red. And so then even as a coach, I'd be ejected from the game. Normally a player, of course, has to get off the field, but they can still stay there. They can sit on the bench. But I think as a coach, if I get a red card, I think I would have to leave the area. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I think you should maybe watch that movie again, just to see Vince Vaughn get kicked out at the end.
Just to see how it goes.
Yeah.
What I should be doing. The way I should be acting.
Maybe you need to practice.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to escalate the situation, go for it. Do it right, man.
All right.
Hey, have you ever played that game, Would You Rather? You know that game? Would You Rather?
No, I don't know it.
All right. Would you rather yell for the rest of your life? You have to scream at the top of your lungs everything that you say, or whisper everything that you say for the rest of your life?
100% I'd be whispering.
Whispering?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think I talk pretty quiet normally, I think. I have to usually force myself to, like Steph, my wife, gets kind of irritated because she'll be like leaning in and trying to hear me. And I think, I don't have a well thought out idea about this, but my left ear is super messed up. And so I don't hear that well myself. And I'm cognizant of that. And I don't want to be yelling like an old person.
So you're trying to talk quiet.
I just talk conversationally, but to everyone else, it seems to be really quiet.
I've never thought that you talked. I mean, I've never noticed. But so if you choose whispering, then that means if like Steph or one of your friends or somebody is in danger and they're kind of far away from you, you can't yell at them and tell them to get out of the way or stop or do it. You have to whisper at them. There's a bus coming. Move out.
Well, I'll just have to be spry and get.
You have to be spry.
Get them help before that happens.
See, I think I would choose. Man, I don't know. It's hard. I think I would choose yell because my kids. I'd want to be able to yell to protect them. But then, like, you're laying in bed, you want to say something to Steph, or I want to say something to Tanya. just completely screaming at them. Or I go to church and I want to say something to Tanya, like in the middle of the sermon, just screaming, just yelling my head off.
Then you could be just possessed of the Holy Spirit or something. You don't have to be,
dude. There you go.
It's not necessarily psychotic. If you,
no, just filled with the
God.
Spirit. Yeah. Okay, there you go. I like that.
Excellent.
All right. Would you rather eat this? Yeah, there's plenty. We can make. There's hundreds of these. Okay. Would you rather have the same meal for the rest of your life? So you can pick like 3 things, an entree and 2 sides, and you have to have that meal for the rest of your life, or you never get to eat the same thing twice again. It's hard.
Yeah, I think I would have to take the second one, even though I'm very content having the same food all the time. And I've joked around about some of my favorite meals. Like if you say you can have Mexican food for the rest of your life, if that was the thing, I'd just take Mexican. But if it was the exact same thing,
the same.
I mean, like, as for instance, macaroni and cheese and tuna, very simple. I love that meal. I could have it every day, and I don't know when I would get tired of it, but the rest of my life I would get tired of it. So I think I'd have to go with the variety.
Yeah. So is that so that's something you eat a lot, mac and cheese, and what did you say, tuna?
Mac and cheese with tuna fish.
Like canned tuna, you mix it in the tuna, like tuna mac?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
I started doing that in college and
stuck with it.
Still love it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I like to do tuna in college. We would get breakfast sausage, like that Owens or whatever it's called, and cook it and mix that in with mac and cheese. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I experimented a lot in college with a lot of different things, but also food and
well, let's go there. Let's talk about that.
Some of it stuck. In all areas, some of it stuck.
Yeah. All right.
And I learned a couple of things while I was there. Not.
Do you want to divulge
what I learned?
No, what you experimented in.
Oh,
maybe later.
Yeah, when we're off air.
That's enough.
Some of the guys I work with might eventually see some of these, and you gotta keep it on the plausible deniability side.
They'd be like, "Okay, that was your last contract."
Yeah. I mean, college was a while ago, so maybe I get off on that. But let's see. So you got any more of those? Would you rather?
One more. Okay. Would you rather sprint everywhere you go, or skip everywhere you go? And I mean sprint like as fast as you can. And we're going to say you don't necessarily get tired. Like that's not really an issue. I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm Steph and I live at 9,000 feet, and I work hard when we're home, cutting down trees and hauling them uphill, and so my cardio fitness is pretty good. However, I raced motocross for a long time, and I don't have much left in either knee. So I think I'd have to choose skipping there because I can run, but it's pretty quick. It doesn't feel very good. So
you choose skipping.
I'd have to choose skipping. Yeah, that's when I make jokes about my age. I don't really ever feel very old, but if I have to run, then that's what's one place where I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel very good.
That would be then I want to go to the store with you and just watch you skipping around the grocery store.
Yeah.
You're so awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, JRuss, can you go get me some milk over there? And then off you go skipping.
Yeah.
Speaking of running and hurting, yesterday at soccer practice, because lots of times me and the other coach will practice with them, and especially when we're scrimmaging or doing certain drills, we'll get in there with them. And yesterday, one of the guys, dude, we kind of half collided, and his knee got me right above my knee, like right where the muscle starts. So it wasn't bone on bone; it was right in the meat of the muscle, but way down low next to the knee. And oh man, all day long it's been just sore and bothered me all day.
High school kid?
Yeah. And of course, they think it's hilarious when they jack me up and knock me down and everything.
The coach went down.
Yeah, they think it's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So we got interesting stuff this week. What we talked about? We've got a head up record that's coming up. I'm down in Florida right now, staying at a friend's house because Steph and I are running a skills and tryout camp for the upcoming head up record that is being organized by Amy Shimalicki and Sarah Curtis from Skydiving Arizona, kinda. And so we're running a camp. We're doing 40 ways starting Saturday. Tomorrow's warm-up day. And we were going to talk about the head down record that's coming up next year, which is in attempts at the 200 way. And we have a video, right? From
Yeah.
Somebody
we have a
submitted a video.
listener video. We're gonna have his name's Brian. We're gonna have him hop on with us in a minute and watch the video.
Yeah. And what else do we talk about? Oh, we can talk about competition a little bit generally.
Yeah. One thing I think that I'm actually interested to know, and I know a little bit, but with the record stuff, like maybe you can talk about the one that y'all are getting ready for right now. If I want to be on, try to get on that record, the head up record.
Yeah.
What does a person like? How do I do that? How do I even get considered? Whether I know somebody like you or not,
Yeah.
what do I do?
Well, on the website for Amy and Sarah, in this case, and the project is called Stand Together. And we can talk about my understanding of that name later, maybe. But on the website, there's a list of events that you can go to where there will be tryouts or selections. And I believe there's a list of like minimum flying criteria that you need to meet. And so that's a little bit of self-assessment, obviously. We don't know everybody when they come. I think we've got 40 people signed up, I think, for the camp. And we had a wait list of about 20 people. And I think we know almost everybody, but invariably there will be some people that we don't know. And so you're hoping that they have the minimum skills, like that people have the self-awareness of it says you have to be able to fly head down, approach the formation, stop and fly relative, transition on level, and pick up a dock in a head-up orientation. You have to be able to backflip back to your head and execute a safe break-off. So, within that, there's some nuance about flying and levels, but we, even for okay, so how would you get to that level? We run skills camps. Andy Malchiotti, Sarah Curtis, and Amy Shimalecki, Matt Fry. There are tons of people around the country who are running skills camps all the time to get people prepared for this kind of thing. And then, of course, if we back up even further from that, there's tunnel camps that people run. Steph and I run tunnel camps all the time and teach people how to fly in the tunnel. While you're at one of those camps, you can probably start sort of mentally dipping your toe in the water of, hey, well, I've heard about this. What would you say? And if it's one of the regional organizers, like Steph and I are regional organizers for this head up record, then we're going to know quite a bit about how to steer you in that direction. So, if people aren't sure, then for sure they could reach out to me and I'll give them whatever information that they're asking for. Hopefully I've got that information. But usually where they are, if you're in Florida, Brad Hunt and Mallory Hunt do camps. If you're up on the Northeast coast, there's going to be people up there. We're in Chicago. Arizona, Texas, California. There's people all over that are interested in doing these things.
So this record, did you say it's 200? What'd you say?
The head up record is shooting for 100. I
100.
think the current record is 82
So
or
this is a Florida
84.
record, or what is
Sorry,
this?
no. Sorry, we're running a camp that is leading up to the big way.
Okay.
So the I can't believe it. Pretty sure it's October in Arizona. Could be September, but I'm pretty sure it's October. And then we have this camp, and then we have one more for in Chicago for like a tryout selection kind of camp.
But
And
the
there's
actual, the big way, the actual record, that's going to be 100.
we're shooting for 100. Yeah.
Okay.
So this weekend is 2 plane shots, 40 ways.
Okay. So out of that 100, you've got how many people are like considered organizing it, like putting it together? How many people? 3 or 4?
No, probably closer to 10.
10. Okay.
Yeah. There's 2 women in Europe. There's 2 guys in Dubai, 1 guy in Australia. We're at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In America, there's 5, and I think we've got Spain and Brazil. So
let's
12?
just say that let's say there's 10 people that are working together to organize this record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm assuming between those 10 people, they need another 190, right? I mean, another 90. So
yes, correct.
I'm assuming between those 10 people, they have another like 60 people that they know and personally invite? Does it start like that? Like they say, hey, who do we want to ask? Is that right? Do they do that?
Yeah. I mean, there are some people in the sport that are good enough and current enough that you can say, if we ask them, they're going to be good. They're going to be ready. It doesn't matter if they go to tryout camp, but it's a really small number, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and most of those people that you might think of in that way, they're the organizers.
Okay.
Like if I don't go to a tryout camp and you tell me what my slot is, it's a real good chance I'm going to be there. If I didn't get there, I had an aneurysm on the way. But most people need to be current. They need to see the formation. They need to have practice at what they're doing. It's just that I'm in the tunnel twice a month with my team, and then I'm going to be making 600 jumps at Sky Chicago this summer with my team. Like I'm going to be really, really current. Just not a lot of people are in that same scenario. Most people need to try out and go to a camp.
Okay. All right. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So even some of the like really, really good, talented flyers, skilled flyers, they're still probably going to one of these camps, if nothing else, just to learn the formation and get familiar with what's happening and how it's being put together and all that stuff.
That's actually an excellent point, because there has been an evolution in the last couple of years, and it continues as far as like how we're building the formation, how we're walking, and we've got potentially weather on Saturday. Just it's Florida, it looks like a lot of clouds, but there's going to be a lot on sort of the new structure of the way that Amy and Sarah would like us to run this, and that's also being implemented on the 200 way, the head down formation that's coming up next year. And so there's pretty constantly new stuff to learn. Yeah.
Why is the head up record only 100 and the head down is 200?
Take your best bet.
Well, I mean, I think I know what the reason is.
Go ahead.
What we've talked about it before, like head down is actually easier.
Yep. 100%.
So that's just that simple.
Yep.
Huh?
Head
cool.
down's easier. Yeah. And I'm not saying easy. It is easier. It's a challenging discipline, but head up is freaking hard.
Yeah.
And so we shot for 100 a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and we got 82 or 84, whatever the current record is. We're going to go for 100 again. It's hard.
That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to. I need to like, or not need to. I want to look at maybe at some point trying to be a part of one or two of those things. Of course, go to a camp, make sure that I'm skilled and can do it, and can be safe and actually help but I think that'd be great. I think that'd be fun.
And it's really nice. Like I spend so much time in competition and that competitive mindset and mode. And it's not that I mean, I don't dislike seeing the people I'm competing against. In fact, I hold them in incredibly high regard, and it is their sacrifice and their determination to be good at this really niche thing that I want to be good at that sort of validates my efforts as well. So it's not a bad thing when I see them. But in the case of records, I see these people from all over the world, and a lot of them I have competed against in the past. But instead of that competitive thing, we're doing more of a camaraderie and working towards the same goal, which is really nice.
To me,
I love big race.
that sounds so appealing to me. That part, like everybody trying to work together.
Yeah.
I can be very competitive, but I've found myself as I get older and older and older, especially with something like skydiving that brings me so much joy. I find myself, I don't want to taint the joy and the fun that I have in skydiving with competition. But that's just for me as I've gotten older. I think if I had started skydiving when I was 18, I probably would have tried to get into some form of competition at some point, probably. But I just love and when you talk about like the camaraderie and the working together and everybody trying for a common goal, like building each other up and this huge team of people, like 100 people on one team trying to do something, sounds so cool. I love that.
It is. It is. That's interesting what you say about competition, though. That's not how I look at it. But
go ahead. Tell me how you look at it. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, competition is what kept me in skydiving in the very beginning. I wasn't going to quit, but I never looked at it as something that I was going to do for really any long period of time. Just a buddy of mine that I did a lot of athletic stuff with asked me to go jump with him to learn how to skydive, and I said sure. But it wasn't until 20 or 30 jumps in that I realized that there was a competitive side to it, and I was all in at that point because the previous competition stuff that I had been doing, dedicating my time to, I was getting injured all the time, so I needed something else. But I don't look at it. I mean, the guys that I compete against, there's very, very few of them that I don't have an incredibly positive relationship with. And though, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the ones that I don't have a positive relationship with, but it wasn't typically the competitive thing. It's just that our personalities don't really go together. But I mean, I'm just thinking about the tremendous respect that I have for, the teams that we competed against in the past, which are some American teams like Standard and Arsenal, and some of the major powerhouse teams from the U.S. and the French team Four Speed and the Italian team, Esercito that we compete against all the time. There's some young kids on a Polish team that just about beat us last year. That one of the kids was like 15 or 16.
Jeez, dude.
I mean, I look at those guys with really fond memories, and again, of course, some of that has to do with the fact that we won, but also,
exactly. That's right.
Yeah. Looking back over the years, those are some of the finest competitors that I've ever been around. And I think sometimes people are pretty happy to put down the people that they compete against as the enemy. And I don't look at that at all. Like these guys.
Do they make you better?
They're making me the best that I can be, especially when I look back. Like I think that there's been some peaks and valleys in my time in VFS, but when Steph and I were first learning how to do it and kind of coming up in the discipline, Standard, Arsenal, and Four Speed were amazingly good teams, and they still glow in my memory of like, man, those are some great flyers. And not that the guys that are here today are not. I think that it's a little bit of a downturn as far as the time that people are committing to being good at VFS. Having said that, also Russia's not allowed to come right now because of the war, and those guys are also good friends, and they are tremendously good. And if we if we got to compete against them, it would be. I mean, we've competed against them in the past, and they have improved so much since then. That yeah, I mean, competitions. Like if I had to stop competing, I mean, I think I'd still jump at this point, but it's what's keeping me going hard.
That's cool. That's cool. I think like when you ever, like the X Games, you watch the X Games ever? And
Yep.
like that type of, when I see those guys, I don't know, let's say it's skateboarding, half pipe or something, I don't know, whatever, pick something. And one of the competitors does something that's just so awesome. And all of the other competitors are like cheering for him and hugging him and he just won the whole thing, but they don't care because he did something so cool. They're just so psyched. Like that. Okay. That type of competition, that looks fun to me. Like, and I think that's what, at least where I'm at in skydiving, I just want to hold on to the joy and the fun of flying. It's so enjoyable that I've seen myself in the past in other activities or sports or games where I get so ultra competitive that I'm so focused on winning that I'm not even enjoying the activity anymore. And I'm like, I don't want to do that to skydiving. And that's really not that's not a commentary on skydiving. That's a commentary on me. That's like my attitude towards competition and winning and being the best. Like I think it would be so cool, like to create, like to have a I'm going to say game show, but not a game show, but like a competition show for skydiving where we just have people come, like teams come, and it's not you beat and compete against other teams. Just like, hey, let's all try to do, okay, your team, what are you guys going to try to do that's really cool? And let's go video it and watch it. And oh, that was awesome. You guys did it, or, and this team's going to try to do something else. And this team, and it's just like almost like a show, competition show, but we're not trying to destroy the other people or beat them or, be the best, but just everybody's trying to be awesome. And we're all excited and happy when somebody else does something cool. Like that sounds awesome.
The elevation of sport.
Yeah.
For the sake of itself.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. That's a good way to say it.
Anyway, we were on big ways, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. I think maybe we were good on the head up stuff. Yeah. You asked how to get into it.
Yeah, no, I think you gave me enough at least to kind of go off of, and hopefully people listening that they know, kind of where to go if they're interested in trying to pursue that path.
Yeah, I would say pathway would be talk to somebody in the free fly community, find the camps, talk to the organizer, see if your skill set's there. If it's not, ask them how to get it there, and if it is, sign up.
Yeah, cool. Well, hey, what if we I think Brian Piper, he had uploaded us a video, and I think he might be in the audience right now. So what if we have him go ahead and come on, and we'll pull up his video, and we can try to watch through it, and see how that goes. So, Brian, if that's you in the audience, go ahead and use that other link that I sent you, and hop in here, and we're gonna pull up that video.
Well, he just exited the audience, so.
Oh, good. Okay, so maybe that was him.
Somebody did. So that seems too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence.
Yeah. There he is, Brian. Hey, man, how's it going?
Good. How about yourself? Good to see you both.
Good to see you,
Brian. You look really familiar. Have we met before?
Probably at somewhere out Skydive Chicago. I've been out there jumping several times, but
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
I've seen you from afar, but I don't know that we've actually ever met in person.
Okay.
Cool. Well, Brian, I want to tell you, you've left some comments on a couple of our shows, on some of our Facebook posts and stuff, and just the positive feedback that you've given us has been really awesome for us. Like that's been very cool. So I want to thank you for just the support and the encouragement that you've been giving us, and that you're enjoying the show. At least we know at least one person out there is enjoying it. No, but man, it really does. It makes us feel really good to know that we're at least somebody's liking what we're trying to do.
Yeah, well, I love the conversations you two have. You just have a great rapport back and forth, and the what you're talking about needs to be talked about more in skydiving. You focus so much on safety and basics and fundamentals. And when I signed up for the Crave courses, like I said, that was like the best $15 I spent in this sport. And I've been doing this for 34 years. And it's, just all the wealth of knowledge from really experienced flyers, and that even they go back and cover the basics in a way that is like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing that. It's not just something that I automatically do, but there's a purpose behind all of that. And that's what keeps people safe, and that's what provides longevity in the sport, which is what we all hope.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm glad you said that, because sometimes there are some things like this is, I don't know if this is going to not blow your mind, but might be a surprise to you. I'm not, I got my license. I think it was 2013. I think didn't get to jump a whole lot because we were living out of the country, and then we moved back in 2015, and that's when I started jumping more. And it was probably, I want to say this was like 2017. So I'd been back a couple years to the States, and that's when I really started jumping quite a bit. Okay. I was probably somewhere around 300 jumps, maybe, until I realized why your chest strap is so, so, so important. Like, that's kind of dumb for me to, it took that long for me to realize what the chest strap does and how it protects you, how it keeps you safe. Like, why is it so important? That's kind of, at least for me at that point, when I finally realized, like, oh my gosh, how did I not know this? How did I not understand what it is doing? Like, especially on opening. So what you just said, that even though those courses, those Crave courses, a lot of the instructors go back and cover the same stuff, but it is so important that we go over that stuff over and over again, because you never know somebody who might have heard it and even understood it and learned it and is maybe even doing it, but they don't know why. And understanding the why is huge, like, it's so important. So that's really cool that you said that.
Yeah. And when I had been jumping about 6 years, and I got my rigger's ticket, and I learned so many things about my gear that I had been wearing for 6 years that I just, took for granted and never really paid much attention to. Um,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
like JRuss was saying, I highly recommend going to nationals and doing some competitions, because that environment is you're just there with the best people in the discipline that you've been working so hard on. And it's such a huge learning experience. So I highly recommend it. I know you think that the competition side of it is
I was
different than what
just
you expect, but it's so much fun.
I was
That's
just
cool.
working on him. Hopefully, we can tag team him there and get him going.
That's right. So, Brian, where do you live?
Rochester, New York, upstate.
Okay, so what's your home drop zone?
Western New York skydiving.
Okay,
Western.
cool. And what year did you start jumping? When did you get your license?
I started jumping in 1990 in the military, and then started sports skydiving in '92. Got my A license.
Okay, cool, man. That's really cool. All right. Well, so I have the video that you sent us. I'm gonna play it. In the past, we've had problems with trying to play stream video through here. Sometimes it gets super, super choppy. So we're going to try it and see how it goes. JRuss and I have both watched it already. So even if it does, what we might end up having to do is stop it in certain places, and then we can kind of talk through, just give a little bit of feedback. Before I play this, do you remember the video that you sent me? You know which one it is?
Yep.
Can you tell us what was the plan for the jump? What were you supposed to be doing? And what do you think went well? And what do you think maybe didn't go so well? If you have the video in your mind, what can you walk us through it?
Yeah. So this was the fifth coaching jump. We're doing angle flying coaching. This was the fifth jump of the day, and we were just supposed to exit and stay really close and transition. Me starting off on my belly, and then we were going to transition through to head down, fly on our back. Me fly on my back for a while, and then we were going to try, rolling over. And I always have problems transitioning from back to belly. I always seem to fly up out of formation.
Okay. So you guys were going to exit. If this was you, you would exit on your belly, fly for a few minutes, or not a few minutes, fly for a short time, and then, yeah, a few minutes, and then go vertical,
Right.
and then push through, so
Yep.
that then you would be on your back, right, and then you guys would, in a sense, do like a roll,
Right.
and so then you would be back on your belly again. Okay. So what do you think went well? Why did you send us the video? What feedback do you want, or what do you think you didn't do so well or need to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my issues are trusting the position, especially on exit. You know, you'll see as we start to just come out, and I come over, I'm kicking a little bit, and like watch all the people in your angle courses. They're very still, you know, and even JRuss, you guys are doing EFS. There's very little movement other than you know, getting you to your position. So I'm still working on that a lot, but you know, I thought we stayed close. I thought I was pretty good through the transition, steep, vertical, and then back out. But then it's those transitions belly to back that always throw me off.
Okay. JRuss, anything else before I play it?
Nope. Here we go.
Okay. All right. Let's try this and see if it plays. Maybe. No. Whoops. Let me back
So
that
that's
up.
the outside perspective,
So,
right?
just for our viewers, what we're going to see, Brian, and that's the person that's coaching you, right? So we're going to see them in the door. We're going to see Brian and his coach exit, and then the camera is going to switch to the perspective of the coach, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I know it's super pixelated and grainy right now.
Mine is crazy pixelated.
Yeah, it's really bad, but hopefully it'll. Okay, so
okay.
I'm going to let it play all the way through one time. Is it smooth right now?
I'm seeing it smooth.
I'm going to let it play all the way through, and then I'm going to back it up, and we can look at a couple specific things. Dude, I love the smile. Like, you're so happy. It's so awesome. I love it. Skydiving's so fun. All right. Let me okay. I'm gonna back it up, or I'm gonna see if I can scrub through a little bit. No, shoot. How do I want to let me do that? Okay. Can you see that? No, why is it doing that? I'm trying to get to the frame where I can actually see you guys exiting. Did it? No?
I mean, they're 50 feet from the plane. Brian's still touching the plane. Coach is off the plane. I mean, I'm just describing what I'm seeing.
Okay. Well, I can't get it on I want the frame right between those.
Oh.
I mean, I'm going to say, and JRuss, please give your feedback too. But I mean, I think the overall video, the overall thing, I think you did pretty good. There are definitely some things that some adjustments you can make, some things you can work on, but overall you did pretty good. The exit, the things that I saw you doing on the exit that were very good was, number one, like maintaining eye contact. Like you are focused, like laser beam focused on the leader. And that's where you need to be when you're exiting the plane. You got a good, if I could back it up one frame, you would see that you are parallel to the deck of the plane, which is exactly what you want to be. You match, as the leader, as he comes out of the plane, you match his angle off of jump run, which is just slight. He's got like a 10-degree angle off jump run. You match him perfectly. I mean, you're a tiny bit ahead of him, like just barely ahead of him. Like, I mean, those are all great things. So couple of adjustments that you could maybe make, not huge things. If I could back it up, you would see that your legs are a little bit bent. So if you stretched out a little bit more on that exit, getting those legs really nice and straight and strong, And then I see that you're flexing your feet, which is good. I tend to do that a lot also when I'm on my belly or on my back. But I think you're doing that for stability. What I would recommend is don't focus so much on flexing the feet, but think about pushing your feet down into the wind. Like actually, if this is my like pushing them against the wind, so that you're kind of almost opening your feet up and pushing them into the wind, you're gonna feel that stability that you get from that without the brakes. Because those feet, you don't realize that's a pretty decent amount of brakes. Okay, and so my opinion and my theory is that you want as much, maybe not as much, but you want speed out the door. You want to go fast out the door. You can always slow down quick, but you want to be streamlined and punching through the wind so you can stay out in front and ahead, and then dive down. But those adjustments are very minor. I mean, those are tiny adjustments. It's not like you did something wrong. This is more kind of like opinion. JRuss, anything on the exit?
No, I mean, generally, I agree with the comments. Overall, the exit looked pretty good. You're very relative to the coach. I do agree that generally people, looks like you're coming out of an otter. I can only guess, but normally an otter's going to go 85, 95 knots, somewhere in there on a normal jump run, and you'd like to be going faster than that. So I agree with Chris that speeding up out the door can be real helpful. The mushy air in the beginning can result in swimminess, but that seemed to come a little bit later, not the exit. But overall, I think you did a really good job on this exit.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
So one thing that I do want to point out, it looks as though you have chest rings, and just on the safety side of things, there's a point later on in the skydive where your left yoke falls off your shoulder, and certainly the container is not going to fall off of you. But I know more than a few people who have had head-down deployments, and if you shock load one shoulder, all of that force gets distributed across one shoulder. That's going to be it's already going to be a bad time. That's going to be a real bad time. And trying to think about utilizing that right arm, if it got shocked that way, you might be in a tough spot. And so normally, if you have chest rings, I know they're comfortable, and I've had rigs with chest rings before. I don't get them anymore for exactly this reason, because I want that rigidity out of my container when I'm going 180 miles an hour, which is pretty common. So if you do have chest rings, I would really recommend that you get that chest strap cranked way down, almost to the point where the buckles are touching each other, because you just don't want that to be a situation you have if you do have a preemie.
It did happen on another jump this day where I had it come all the way off my shoulder, and I bailed out, went on my belly, and and then ever since then I have been tightening that down a lot.
Cool.
Yep.
And so that, Brian, that brings up another thing. If imagine that you're on you're in a group of people flying together on a movement jump, and that happens, and you need to, and if you were to bail out to your belly and somebody's above you or behind you, it's horrible for everybody, or well, for at least for those two people.
On the positive side, you've experienced it a few times. You know what it feels like, and hopefully, were that to happen, as Chris said, in a group setting, you could try and keep your sort of emotions under control and casually work your way out of the group. Obviously, sudden movements in a group of angle flyers are something you kind of want to stay away from.
Yeah,
exactly.
So right there, right there, it actually stopped. You see that frame? Do you see is that your
right hand?
Your right hand is kind of cupped or flexed, right?
Yep.
So this is one of the things that I noticed throughout the video. There's multiple times where you are, and this is my perspective. I'm interpreting what I'm seeing, so I could be wrong, but what I'm interpreting is that multiple times throughout the jump, you're trying to steer with your hands and your arms. Okay, you're nodding, so I guess
bad habit. Yes.
Okay, bad habit. Yeah. So you already know that.
Yeah.
And what you'll see in a minute, whenever you end up a little bit to the right, but then you move back to the left. And what happens is you actually steer with your shoulders, and you very quickly, it's a very abrupt movement, and then you have to correct it. And that's really probably one of the main things that I would point out from this jump, is to try to break that habit of steering and controlling heading with your hands and arms. Use your shoulders and your body, and just those small changes with your shoulders can make a huge difference. That heading correction and even the pitch and angle with a little bit of shoulder input can be profound. And so you can get a lot more movement out of it. You can get a lot more adjustment out of a tiny movement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm guessing it's maybe the way you're nodding. Maybe your coach has probably said similar stuff to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that before. It's an old free fly, pizza delivery habit where we would steer with our arms.
Yep.
And it's just not as efficient or as, yeah.
Yeah. And later on in the video, you actually go into that when you end up almost head down, you're trying to slow down and you go into that position.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's maybe that's what you were talking about earlier when you said kind of trusting the position. That kind of goes into that too, like trusting that you can just use your arms for brakes. Think about arms are small brakes, legs are big brakes. And then flexing those feet, that's like tiny brakes. Those are brakes. You can use those. It's super helpful. But you got tiny brakes, medium brakes, and big brakes.
And steering is shoulders and hips.
Yeah, because look, right here, you're doing it. You start steering with your shoulders. If you would keep your feet flexed, you kind of relaxed your legs, see how your feet are going back. If you kept those engaged, pushing those feet into the wind, engaged in the wind, and steering with the shoulders, oh, you're going to have so much. Look, do you see look what happens when you actually do that. You push the feet in the wind, you took off.
Yeah.
And then you instantly correct it. So that's where I'm impressed, is that even when you make a massive adjustment, you quickly try to fix it. That didn't cause you to get out of the jump and lose where you're at and be gone. You fixed it and stayed with him. So that's pretty good, I think. And he's pointing, he's like, okay, come on, head down. Right there again, you're steering with the hands, arms, and the legs are relaxed and not engaged. But that's the flailing, I think.
So Brian, have you done any big wave stuff?
Just crew big wave, but no.
Crew. You're a crazy man. Normally, like when you see people swimming, in my opinion, especially experienced people, an AFF student might swim a little bit out the door because they're scared, but an experienced flyer will get swimmy when the airflow isn't what they expect in that moment. And so you lost, like you didn't stall there, but the airflow when you turn just wasn't what you expected. And normally in a big wave circumstance, a lot of people will learn to speed up to recover. It's a little bit like the thought of an airplane in a stall. You really need to get back your airspeed, but you need to pick up speed across the surfaces that you intend to use. So if you feel yourself doing that kind of stuff, like it was a big wave circumstance where I saw somebody doing that in our group, my first thing I would say is, hey, just speed up, just get yourself back flying, get airflow across the surfaces the way that you want, rather than doing that swimmy stuff. Because when you do throw that stuff out in the wind, of course, that is drag. And in that moment, you're kind of doing the opposite of what you want. You're slowing down, but you really need to recover the flow.
Awesome.
Cool. And then is this the head down portion, and then you're going to switch through?
Yep. Now we're switching through the back.
Yeah, they went kind of head down. Now you're kind of transitioning to your back here, right?
Yep.
I mean, it kind of looks like.
Yep.
So I would maybe recommend that. How's your head down flying generally?
I'm more comfortable head down than, head up, or I've been flying head down a lot, but I still can't do it in the tunnel because I'm not stable and still enough head down.
Mm.
But it's my preferred way to move to a position.
Hit me up on Facebook. We'll get you in the tunnel. But in general, it looks like you're rocket shipping right now, like you're kind of meat missiling. And so I think this is super common when people pass through the very vertical portion, that they've been in an angle fly, like a straight body position. Maybe their legs are bent a little bit if the jump isn't super fast, but then they retain that through the vertical part, which can be dicey when you get off of the vertical part, because that's up. I mean, if you keep this profile for just a few seconds, you're going to you're going to be going more than 200 miles an hour, because you just don't have drag out in the wind. And if you're good enough, which you are here, you're good enough to stay in that vertical position, man, you're punching through the wind pretty fast. So it doesn't actually shock me that when you try and transition back to a point where you're getting some resistance from the wind, that it feels a little bit difficult or a challenge to, you said when you switch over to the other side. If this was your method of transitioning every time, I would say, man, you gotta keep the speed reasonable in that vertical section. Otherwise, the transition back is going to be so powerful when you hit the whatever the other surface is with all of that speed. So that may be actually a little bit helpful if you just throw out like a regular Daffy or shelf or whatever just for a second, so you're not going mock Jesus when you get done with this move.
Mock Jesus.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about slowing down in that pass through, but it makes total sense.
I mean, it's definitely possible to do, and I've been on those jumps, but it's a challenge. It's like punching straight down, and then when you break off from a group formation, say head down, there's tons of power, right, at 180 miles an hour, 170, whatever you were going. And if you're 30 or 40 miles an hour faster than that, and you don't have practice at that, it's going to be tough.
Awesome.
Okay, let's see. And then what you're smiling? What are you smiling at?
The starfish.
Yeah, where I blew out and then I'm back into my old habits.
Yeah. So what feedback did your coach give you on this part, or what would you think maybe you could do differently?
He was mostly focused on keeping my eyes on his hips and shoulders as I'm doing that transition through and staying focused on him.
Okay.
I lost focus on him as I was rolling through, and that's kind of what blew me out.
Oh, okay. Okay. As far as like getting away from him.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now coming back to him, I'm going to try to back up because I had a screenshot that I wanted to. I don't know if I can get to the frame I'm looking for. I think it's the next frame. I'm going to try to get there. Okay, you can't quite see it. So if I could go forward one or two more frames, you would see that in the next couple of frames, your hands actually get below your waist. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
do that a lot when I'm belly.
Do you? Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's right between those two frames where I got, and that's just, I mean, I understand what people are, you're trying to get that, you're trying to feel that pressure, right? Like you're trying to push. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens is as you get your hands and your arms below your waist or whatever, if these are your hands and they're coming way down here, that's exaggerated, of course. You're just raising that center of gravity and you're making yourself really wobbly, right? Whereas as you bring those hands up, you're lowering the center of gravity, bringing it down below. Now, you don't need to be arched necessarily. You can still de-arch, but you can maintain that center of gravity by keep that center of gravity up here higher by keeping your arms up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because as you're pushing down, now that pressure and all that it's like you're balancing on your hands and your toes. It's almost like you're trying to balance a ball on the head of a pin, right? Instead of bringing it up and letting it rest on that pin.
Brian, do you have a memory of what you're, other than closing the gap on your coach, when Chris says that about pushing below your shoulder, kind of like do you have a memory of what you were trying to do?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to trying to keep my speed up to catch up to him, but at the same time trying to have some control surfaces. And I go back to like flat tracking or delta tracking where you pull your arms down, and then I don't know why I push down, but um, it happens in several videos. I've seen myself push down, and my coach is always like, "Why are your hands there?"
Yeah. So on the idea of speed, you've flown in a commercial flight before. The airplane puts the flaps down when it lands to slow down. And so when you punch through the wind line like that, and the wind line in this case being generally at your shoulder, and I use the shoulder as that point a lot. When you cut through the wind line and you're below the wind line, which the wind line flowing over your shoulder, you're putting on the brakes, number one, but as Chris said, you're losing a ton of stability. And so suddenly your flying surface gets a little slippery, where especially with the idea of speed, if you drop them behind your hips and above the wind line, in that moment, you maintain all of the forward speed. You don't put on the brakes, but you also gain some stability. So if you can somehow wrap your head around, and really that's any body position, when you cut below the wind line, and usually I almost always equate that at the shoulder, because I think it's the easiest place to think about it. I mean, it's just an imaginary line. You can put it wherever you want. But if you've seen a tunnel instructor say carve, like, Chris carving head down, putting your hands up above your head and like running your fingers across the net, you can do it. But I guarantee that everybody is going to tell you that that's freaking hard. And
super hard.
The balance point is really tricky.
And it's dangerous.
And, yeah. And so when you press down below your shoulder like that, it's not as bad. But if you were, say, to Superman right now and put your hands out in front of you, like Superman would fly in the fake movies, you would cork out. It's untenable. So try to think about each time you reach down below your shoulder, below your waist, wherever you want to place the line, that you are losing stability in that moment. So unless you intend to put on the brakes and you intend to be a little slippery, that's probably not the place you want your arms.
Fantastic. Excellent. Yeah. And I would when I wingsuit, I would never do that. I've never pull my arms down, but I don't know, something about angle flying, my arms aren't captured in those wings. So I just want to push them down there.
Yeah. I think you're not trusting your shoulders. You're not trusting the steering capability that you have at your disposal with your torso. Like it's actually a huge steering surface.
That's interesting.
Way more than your hands.
But to say that about wingsuiting means that you really, like in a wingsuit, you're feeling aerodynamics and you're feeling the physics of flight. And somehow that's disconnected from when it's just your body. When you actually need, I mean, the wingsuit is a very efficient thing. your body's not. And so in the moment that you're not wearing one, you need more efficiency, not less. So try to grab a hold of those kind of flight mechanics when you're slick.
JRuss, you say that as if we all think rationally when we're in the sky. We don't, brother. We don't think rationally. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, we're getting there. And okay. Brian, just I said I didn't have anything to say at the beginning, but then something kind of clicked in my memory when you said, "Oh, I watch these angle flyers and they're so still, and I watch you guys fly VFS and there's no extra motion," or I can't remember exactly the way you said it, but the thing that anybody listening to this, and I try and keep this in mind all the time, is the freaking mountain of mistakes that are piled up behind me that you can't see. I made those before we talked. So you just got to keep in mind that what you're doing right now is kind of what you need to do to get to the point you want to get to. And there's no cheat for it. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about this sport is there's always so much to learn. Every day. Great.
Yeah. So much to learn. So I mean, this is the last thing that I was gonna talk about. And I mean, I think I'm gonna say what I think you're doing, and you tell me if it's right or wrong. Just putting on the brakes is all you're doing. Yep. Is that right? Like you're approaching the leader really fast, and you're like, oh shoot, not oh shoot necessarily, because I don't think you weren't close or dangerous by any means, but you just put on the brakes. That's all. Yeah. And obviously that is a great way to put on the brakes. It absolutely works, but my opinion would be that is way too much and completely unnecessary. you have your arms way out, legs. So I'm gonna give you a suggestion on a jump that you could do with your coach that I think will let you work on multiple of these things. If you just told your coach like, hey, let me follow you, but not try to keep up with you. Like go on a very, very easy movement jump where your coach is leading the jump. So they're setting the heading and maybe even setting kind of the speed, but you're getting to play around because you're going to have no problem just following a leader out the door and staying with them. They pick a heading, they make it a super simple, super easy movement jump. You have no problem following him and staying with him. So just asking someone who is safe and good and knows what they're doing, lead me on a movement jump and let me play around with a few things. I want to play around with some stuff. And so the first thing that I would encourage you to play around with is using your legs as your only source of brakes. Just keeping your hands, maybe even think about keeping your pinkies at your thighs or a little bit, if you're on your belly, a little bit above your thighs, right? So that would be away from the earth up towards the sky. If you're on your back, keeping them up. So let's just say you're on your belly and you're following that leader and all they're doing is just making a nice, smooth, easy line that you can follow and stay with them. And then you're playing with, this is on my belly, breaking with those hips. And let me get my doll. Hold on.
Well, while he's gone, because I've been sitting here chomping at the bit, I don't know that I totally agree with what I'm going to let him continue because I totally agree with what he's saying, but I don't know that this is necessarily a coach because coach jumps are kind of expensive. So if you find somebody who is at or near your spot skill set wise, you guys can do two ways until the end of time getting better at this. Where one person just sets the rabbit and the other person moves around exactly as Chris is saying. And you can work on so many things when you've got a stable target. Just give each other a high five. I'm not going to kill you, I promise. And then just you can do transitions. You can test your transitions. You can, how did I do going belly to back? How did I do back to belly? Can I do the square out? If I lose my position in a group, can I square out and regain my position on the other surface? Can I, there's approaches, there's breakoffs. There's so many things you can do in a two-way that are efficacious and safe. And so if you've got a buddy that wants to learn, man, hey, today I'm the rabbit. Tomorrow you're the rabbit. Next time, whatever. And then you teach each other so much.
Yeah, that's exactly, I mean, he said it better than what I was trying to say. That's exactly what I was trying to say. On your belly, practice using your legs as brakes, just like this, like braking hard. Like that is look at those thighs, all that surface area. That's a hard brake, right? And then straightening out fast, braking, and don't even use your arms. Just feel that, right? And then you can also practice, like he's just your leader, your friend, the rabbit is doing a straight line. So you can practice steering with those shoulders, really easy and mild. Nothing, you're not trying to keep up with anybody. You're not just trying to stay on the jump. You're just following. And then on your back, really think about keeping those legs strong and straight, keeping those feet close together. And then instead of braking by widening your arms, because lots of times what you're doing on your back is you're widening to brake.
Yep.
What I would encourage you to do is think about braking by bringing your arms up.
All right.
Like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that you can still, because there's a lot of braking that can happen just in that tiny movement right there, right? And then a lot of brakes there. And then you can still work on that, controlling that flight. Your friend is just flying stable and you're just, boom, you're just barely moving back and forth, right? Like moving, you're practicing brake, you're speeding up, getting out a little bit in front of them, just a little bit, and then coming back and just using those arms. Those two simple things you can practice, or actually three. So braking with your legs, braking with your arms, and then steering with your shoulders. I mean, and what JRuss said, you can have a lot of fun and learn a lot of cool stuff.
That's fantastic.
Chris's camera did this last time, but his words are still with us. So
yeah, I think my camera overheats or something.
I know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Brian, is that what questions or what comments or what feedback do you? Anything that we said that doesn't make sense, or maybe that's off or not right, or what do you want to? What feedback do you have?
I think this was spot on and super helpful, just changing my mindset and just focusing on those few little things. Can't wait. I'll be down in Florida in a couple weeks, so be practicing some of this down there. And then once the season opens up back up here, and I do the 2 ways all the time with the wingsuits. I don't know why we haven't been doing these drill dives for angle, but yeah, another thing to add to the list.
I think that there's always a good logic behind getting coaching as a professional coach. It would be hard for me to say otherwise, but I also think that there's a time to go build those skills that you have learned, and then come back to the coach and say, hey, okay, what's next? And your weekend of coaching, I didn't recognize this coach, but it's not super important, but your weekend with this guy, I'm sure that you learned a lot and you had a bunch of things to work on, and perhaps in the future, if you don't already, think about trying to make notes at the end of every day of the most salient points, maybe, or the things that you'd really like to improve on, and then take those to your buddy and say, okay, this is what I learned, and I think this is a good direction. And when you guys, I feel like a lot of times people it's not that they come to me too often for coaching. I need to work, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of, for instance, I just coached an MFS team. They went home. They're going to work on some of the mechanics in the tunnel when there's no coaching fee, and they can just go and fly with each other. And when they've sort of wrapped their heads around some of that other stuff, then they're going to come back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to do a little more tunnel and hopefully start throwing new things at them. But if you're just with a coach every day, there's just this endless flood of stuff that you've got to work on, and you never seem to get one thing. When someone say you want to learn head out in the tunnel, man, if we're together for an hour in a weekend, you are only going to get enough time until I think you've got it, and then we're going to move on. And it's not ever going to feel like, oh man, I'm so comfortable with that thing, because if it is, I am wasting your freaking time. I need to get you safely exposed to a lot of different ideas and progress you the way that I can. And then, man, you've got months or years until I see you again that you can go home and work on all that stuff. So I definitely think that it's valuable to get coaching, but I also think that it's valuable to go practice those things in maybe a little bit lower stress environment, so that you do gain comfort, because the coach shouldn't really be there holding your hand until you're perfectly comfortable with everything. That's just watching your dollars go by.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were doing competition, we'd do one weekend a month where we'd go get coaching, and then the other 3 weeks we would just bang on what he showed us during that. So
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And that kind of touches on one of the things we were talking about with Sharon last week. When you're on jumps that are easier below your skill level, and so that's kind of like if you were just doing a two-way movement jump with a friend, and you guys are both, how to pick a heading, how to stay on heading, but there's no pressure to perform. There's no pressure to keep up. There's no, it's super, let's make this super, super easy so that we can experiment, so that I can calm my mind, relax my mind, and say, what does happen when I do my legs like this? What happens when I move my shoulders like this? And there's no pressure to perform. There's no fear to get it right. It's like, no, just experiment and feel and relax. And the amount of learning that can happen in those times sometimes it's profound.
And interestingly, that is almost exactly what, Summerfest is coming up in a few months. They sold out in 2 days. Generally I do beginner angle jumps, 10 jumps a day for 10 days. And it is the most popular thing at Summerfest. Everybody wants to learn how to angle fly. And what Chris just described is my jump. Every single jump. I am trying to make a middle of the road forward and a middle of the road down, and try and keep one pace. I have to make one turn in the middle of the jump to keep everybody in a good wind position, but otherwise I am just a rabbit going the exact same speed. So these people who know nothing really about angle flying can start experimenting with different things. If I go the same exact speed, and I'm telling you guys, it's the most boring thing ever, but it's 100 jumps in 10 days of doing the exact same thing. But that is the only way for people to learn, because then if they do something and it results in something, they get to see how that changes relative to what I'm doing. And if it's the wrong thing, hopefully they understand that, hey, that maybe try the other input. If they were going too fast, I can slow down. But giving that consistency to each other is a great way to see the results of the actions that you take.
Yeah. Well, Brian, I hope that's helpful. And I do want to reiterate, like, we are being nitpicky and critical and picking apart because that's, I think, what you ask us to do. So, but by no means, I mean, overall, that's a pretty good jump, man. You
It's really
did a good job. I mean, I'd love to jump with you. If you ever come down to Texas, dude, let's jump together. That'd be fun. But
yeah, absolutely. And thank you both so much for this. Invaluable. And I hope more people take advantage of this. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep sending you video.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have 3 hosts from now on.
Awesome. Well, hey, Brian, thank you so much. And I hope that was helpful. Hey, and thank you for the support and encouragement that you've been giving us too. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for all the great conversations and a ton of amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, man. All right. We'll
Thanks,
see you later, Brian.
See you, man. Nice.
That's fun. That's cool.
Absolutely. It's funny that was your original idea a year ago.
Yeah.
Hey, let's have people give us videos and we'll talk about them and people will learn.
Yeah. Car talk.
We've had like 3.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it'll pick up.
But they're all great.
Yeah. Oh man.
Do you know that Monica Nanchiva, who I think she's in our camp this weekend, the woman that had the canopy collision that we had her on?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure she's going to be here tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
She's a very good free flyer. She was part of the Project 19, the women's record, the head down record that happened last year.
Yeah.
And,
with Sharon. Yeah. Cool.
Hopefully she's going to be part of the sit record.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, it's
an hour and 11 minutes.
It's an hour and 11 minutes.
So cool.
I mean, all right.
We didn't get to the head down Midway really. We talked a little bit about competition. There was something else. Oh, Summerfest. We were going to talk about Summerfest. Do you want to give preliminary thoughts as our host Chris is going to come be an organizer at Summerfest? So how are you feeling about that?
Dude, I told you I'm feeling super stoked. Like I'm going to try very hard to make that happen. And yes, no, I really want to be there. Well, what I want to do, what I would hope is that I could find a time to come up there before Summerfest, when you're going to be there, and we could jump together, so I can know the drop zone, learn some of the landmarks, like I would really like to feel more comfortable, at least have, at least a handful of jumps, if not even more, before Summerfest, so that I can feel comfortable and confident about organizing and leading and doing stuff there. That's what I'm actually really hoping to do.
I'll be there the 3rd week of May.
3rd week of May. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I need to try, because I think that would make me feel better and more comfortable, so that when Summerfest actually starts, then I'm like, okay, I know this place. I'm comfortable here. I know some of the obstacles and dangers and feel better about it.
Perfect. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Right. They sold 600 tickets in just under 48 hours. So
that's crazy to me.
It's
600.
I mean, it's honestly not crazy to me, because the ticket thing, the max number was new last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was after a couple of years of like 1,000 or more people. And really, this is a credit to Rook, because 1,000 people registering, it's a lot of money. But what ended up happening was people were sitting on the ground, long wait times. All the planes were in use. 2 years ago, I think one of the Otters went down. Rook himself flew his King Air down to maybe North Carolina and picked up one of John D'Annunzio's planes from Rayford and brought it back, because there were so many people we couldn't have a plane down.
Like in the middle of Summerfest, he just went and got another plane and came back.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and so the 600 cap, it actually ended up being like 700 people last year, because of people came and they didn't realize that they had to buy a ticket and they didn't want to turn them away.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great. It was well planned. It was the right amount of aircraft and people that the calls were maybe not 20 minutes. They were going to be more like an hour. But from the previous year when they were more like 3 hours, I think it was just a great decision by Rook and Tracy there Tracy's the events coordinator, to just make it something reasonable that they didn't have to start bringing in extra aircraft. And actually one of our Skyvans wasn't even that busy. So I think there were 3 Otters and a Skyvan running nonstop. And then the extra Skyvan didn't do a lot. And then the Caravan was taking a lot of the tandem passengers, the regular business stuff. So yeah, just stoked, and you're going to be part of it.
So what I just heard you say is that the Drop Zone owner, he decided to make less money so that he could give the attendees a better experience.
Yep.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good call.
Okay, that's awesome. Now I want to go even more.
Yep.
So I mean, I was going to say, if you're not signed up, go sign up, but you can't.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's done like a Burning Man thing where they bought 50 tickets and they're going to sell them at a markup. I hope not.
No, surely not. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing if somebody's desperate to go, they can maybe get in touch with the Drop Zone. I don't know, but the pre tickets were 600 and they're sold.
Yeah. Well, and I have quite a few friends, skydiving friends, that have been multiple times, and they always come back just like raving about how much fun like just so fun and good and enjoyable. So it's cool.
I mean, the jumps are great. There's going to be a ton of organizers. I think I have 33 free fly and angle organizers on my list already. Which last year I had 26 and it wasn't quite enough. So usually a couple people drop out off that list, but I've got a wait list as well. But then there's the jumps are always great, and there's great aircraft, and the landing area is huge, and the facilities are just it's going to be a different experience. I'm super excited for you to come see it. Just the pond, the restaurant, the bar, the river, being in the campground, grilling with your friends after hours. Like it's just such a unique experience there that it's hard to sort of quantify to people who haven't been there. And then once they've been there, they're like, oh man, I understand what you meant now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, you've done it again. You say it this time. You never say it. You say it.
You have not wasted an hour and 15 minutes. We have been talking about good and safe topics and things that you needed to learn. So now you can go waste an hour doing something like I'm going to do. I'm going to go play video games for an hour before bed. Yeah. And that's going to be a waste of time.
I'm going to go watch Loudermilk. Have you ever watched Loudermilk?
No.
It's a show on Netflix. You should watch it. It's pretty cool.
Man. Yeah. Actually, if you want a good Netflix show, as long as we're plugging stuff, have you ever seen The Deepest Breath?
No.
Okay. I'm not kidding. And everybody out there, this is The Deepest Breath. It is a wonderful hour of your life. Hour and 15 minutes, maybe. It is about freediving.
Okay.
And there's a competitive world to freediving that I had no idea about. And it kind of chronicles one woman's very passionate, dedicated, her efforts to break the record. And I hope this isn't a spoiler, but she does break the record eventually.
Well, yeah, that's a spoiler. You just told us.
No. There's a whole story. The record is sort of secondary, but it's 105 meters.
Dude, that
one way.
Oh my gosh, that is insane to me.
It is crazy. It is the setting the record is not the story. I didn't spoil anything. It's a freaking awesome show.
Okay, what is it called?
Deepest Breath.
Deepest Breath. Really, it's good. It's interesting.
I swear it's good. A friend of mine, my friend Frank, a French guy, recommended it to me, and I was teary-eyed at the end. It was such a good story.
No way.
Yeah. It's a really good one. Yeah.
Okay.
You will be too. I mean, sociopaths can stay away from this. They won't feel any emotion. The rest of us, you're going to be a little teary-eyed at the end of the story.
All right. Cool. The Deepest Breath.
Yep. Try it out.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
Phil,
I'm not going to say it because you said it already.
no,
Well, you
we
didn't
waste
say it. You didn't say it. You're supposed to say it.
We had a great time here for an hour and 20 minutes.
We did. That's right. Get out there. I will say this. Go jump out of an airplane with your friends and have some fun. Get in the
Absolutely.
sky. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Be safe, but have fun. All right. Crave. Do more and be better. JRuss, thank you. That was fun. That was good.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Still says record.